Secondary break, UNC basketball. I am Graham Bunn, former D1 college point guard. Played in Europe a little bit, but massive diehard Tar Heel fan. Got my brother Zach Talitsky here, UNC alum, my sounding board, all things Carolina basketball. I knew this show was coming. This show was going to happen. And we've been doing this. If you're new to the channel, we do have some new people joining. Welcome. I hope this isn't your first show because this will be challenging because this is the first show that we've done that I feel like I really got to fight being a fan and just kind of look at it as do my best not to be fan bias. I'm in my fan bias right now. I'm also incredibly disappointed. I knew this trap game was coming. I don't want to take anything away from Georgia Tech. I want to start off by saying congratulations to all those kids. What a memory. Anytime you get any kind of win where your student body is so excited they rush the court, it's kind of college culture. Like it's going to be an amazing night on campus. Those players will have those memories forever. And congratulations to Damon Stoudemire, his staff, and that program. I mean, they've got some big wins. They don't have a lot of wins, but they got some big ones, you know?
Yeah, you have to be happy for the team and Damon and the fan base. And you're right. This is what college basketball is all about. You know, it's been happening all over the country for weeks now. We've been able to avoid it, thankfully. But yeah, it finally got us. You mess around, on the road, and you give the other team life, and you have a few statistical flukes go against you. And and again, in saying that, I'm not taking anything away from Georgia Tech. I just mean,
Sure.
we'll break it down here in a second. But some interesting things that sort of have gone against the flow of the season for us. And this can happen. Thankfully, we're at a point where we've banked enough good wins, unlike in the last couple of years. If we'd have had this loss, last year or the year before, you
right.
really have a lump in your throat because you wonder, about what the consequences are. But it's going to be interesting to see how this impacts Saturday now. And does this light a fire and get us focused, or does this carry over?
Yeah, well, one of the things, you said when you're on the road, you mess around, you find out. There's that whole meme, F around, find out. There's a trend that's growing within the team with the turnover issue. And there's a trend growing within some of our players with some shooting slumps that are just they're not regressing to the mean, and we had hoped that they would, kind of find their flow. Tonight was bad. Look, I'm a fan, so I will preface this by saying I am fan biased, and also by no means am I judging anyone. It's just disappointing in certain areas. You want to see your guys do well. You want to see your guys be. They don't necessarily have to be the best version of themselves every game, but when you have multiple starters and impact players have off nights and have really off nights, and some of our impact players that have off nights that don't necessarily impact the game in other areas other than spacing the floor, knocking down shots. It's really tough to recover and survive a hostile environment where, for Georgia Tech, probably not going to make the tournament. So it's a big game for them. It's not that it's their Super Bowl because they have beaten Duke. They have beaten Clemson. Now they've beaten us. So they've done it multiple times, and I want to give that program all the respect they deserve. But when you're 3 in the country, you're rolling. I think they're like, second to last in the conference. That's a game that you should go in. And for me, after the last few years, I would just love to have seen our team just be who they are, be their identity. They didn't need to play their best game to win this game. I feel like we played poorly, and we lost the game. Georgia Tech won it for sure, but we definitely, as a team, I felt like we played poorly. What did you see?
We absolutely played poorly. And look, RJ tried to put on Superman cape and almost got us there. He had, for him, a relatively inefficient game, but still, finished with 28. But yeah, when Cormac Harrison,
the only player in double figures, by the way, just before we move forward, the only player in double figures.
Right. But when your 4 other starters, between Cormac, Mondo, Harrison, and Cadeau, really all have off nights together. And then really, I mean, Seth stepped up, made a couple big plays, but really no one from the bench. We didn't have a Withers or somebody, put up 10 or 15 like we've been getting through most of this run.
Yeah.
I mean, he can't do it. RJ can't do it alone. And then not to mention the free throw line and leaving all those points. I mean, the 52.9% doesn't really tell the story because we also missed some front ends of 1-and-1s. I mean, I really think statistically those should be 0 for 2, right?
Agreed.
Because it
Agreed.
doesn't totally tell the story. So we really shot 50%, from the free throw line.
RJ missed the front end of a 1-and-1, which you never see, and it's hard to get mad at RJ for anything. So I'm not mad at him. It's just like you said, seems like an anomaly. You don't see that very often, and
yeah,
you lose by one. You lose by one.
Yeah, that's right. When all that happens and you only lose by one, I guess you're like, well, we were in it and we kept fighting, and so all that's good. But and it's weird to say for a team that's been on this type of win streak, but in this win streak, we have not always played that well. We've sort of won in spite of some of that. I mean, I think Florida State let us off the hook a little bit with their free throw shooting.
They did 1,000%.
And so it's sort of back-to-back games where you'd say, oh man, we have not really been clicking. They're both road games, so it's always a little bit harder. Hopefully getting back at home and having Duke, right there in front of us will get everybody focused and we'll have some fun again on Saturday. But tonight wasn't all that much fun.
Yeah, it was challenging and again frustrating in certain regards. Also putting them to the free throw line so quickly in the second half. Elliot Cadeau is still a freshman point guard, reclassified. He had 5 fouls in the second half. I mean, he almost put them in the 1-and-1 by himself, and I don't know, it's tough. Some of those fouls can go either way, but it was just really challenging. And you got Ingram and Ryan combined 6 of 28. Are you concerned at all by this? I've harped on it and I've gotten some pushback and I totally understand it. And when you give critique, I guess, you are opening yourself up for pushback. And I totally understand that. I love our team. I absolutely love watching this team play. It's the most fun I've had watching the Tar Heels in a long time, even in a loss. I have to remind myself, man, I love these guys. But Ingram and Ryan, I don't know. We survive against better teams. They go 6 of 28. Like it's, I don't know. Are you concerned at all?
Yeah, you have to be. I mean, we're not going anywhere in March, with those two guys. You might be able to survive one of them having an off night. But we have to get contributions outside of RJ. Maybe I'm most concerned about Mondo. And look, I want to give the guy credit for, I think, playing incredible defense for most of the year. But now we're putting a lot of games together where he's scoring in single figure rebounds, and it just doesn't. I don't know, like the energy that we're so used to seeing from him doesn't seem to be there. And I'm not sure exactly why that is. I think Saturday is going to be an interesting challenge. I think, when we played PJ Hall earlier in the year with Clemson, he definitely stepped up. I think outplayed PJ, head to head. It's going to be interesting to see that matchup with Filipowski. I think is going to be pivotal in that game. And so, hopefully in that game, with another ACC caliber, all ACC caliber player, in the Duke game, we sort of get the focus Mondo and we get his best. But yeah, I mean, you're not going to win many games with one guy in double figures. And the foul trouble on Cadeau sort of been happening all year. I mean, I think some of it is he's learning how to guard with intensity, but not foul. And I imagine as hard as it is to make the transition as a point guard playing offense, which there's a lot of people who struggle. Making that transition on the defensive end,
you're looking at one,
equally as hard. And I think he's working hard. You can tell. I mean, he's contesting everything. He's trying to cut people off. Yeah, I don't know. I thought some of those fouls were pretty ticky tacky, particularly the last one. But I think we've talked about this before. I don't. I think the ACC officiating this year has not been good. And I don't even want to talk about this game and whether the officiating was good or not, because I actually think of the games I've watched, this was probably on the better end. Um, but just overall, it just feels inconsistent, from game to game and even within the game. So I don't know. I hope the ACC is sort of taking a look at it because I do think it's affecting the quality of play.
Foul or no foul in that last play with RJ. TV
That's
Ted right
definitely
in front of him.
it's just a foul.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean it's a
definitely
foul.
foul. TV
But
Ted
but but
loves.
but
He'll
look,
take any time.
you can't. I mean, you're in that position, and you
Oh,
can't.
that didn't
Yeah,
lose the game.
yeah. You
Yeah,
can't
that
hope to
that
get
didn't.
that foul.
Of
And by
course.
the way, I do want to give credit, even though we didn't win the game, for Hubert and the staff drawing up that play.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't really sure what they were doing with that set. I saw RJ, I was like, we're not going to throw the ball in the backcourt to RJ, are we, with 4.5 seconds left? But I
Yep.
really like that motion. I mean, they got him going downhill with full steam and got a great look. And again, I think he got fouled. But I like that play that they drew up, and so that's good.
Agreed.
But yeah, I mean, the other sort of statistical anomaly was their free throw shooting. I think
Of
they're
course.
like 300th in the country, and then of course they
They're in the
shoot
300s.
88%. But again, you can't go into a game and just hope the other team misses. But
Yeah.
when you lose a game like this, there's always some things that go against you. The other thing was they shot 45% from three. I think
They
we've been one
banked
of the
one. They banked one.
statistically we've been one of the best 3-point defensive teams in the country, and then they do that. So that's what happens. That's how you lose. That's how you have an upset. We've gotten a little bit of habit. I guess we did this against Florida State too, where we come out strong on the road and we're focused, but then you sort of get the middle point of the first half and they seem to lose their focus, let somebody hang around, and then next thing you know, and they're in a dogfight. Next thing you know, they bank in a three in under 2 minutes, and that's how you lose. Hopefully we learn from it. I mean, these types of games are going to happen in the ACC tournament and the NCAA tournament. And this is also how you get upset as a high seed, games like this. And so hopefully, Hubert can use it as a teaching moment, and it'll pay dividends down the road.
Yeah, two things. One of the things that I struggled with because we are so experienced. I mean, at one point in time, I looked up. It was like our starters. I guess not Cadeau because he's brand new, but we had like 500 games underneath our belt as starters. And when the other team's in the double bonus with like 10 minutes left, I just don't understand putting yourselves in positions where you're giving the referee the opportunity to make calls. Carmack Ryan like presses up and like is crowding this guy on the baseline, fouls him 94 feet from the bucket. They get a free 2 points out of that as we're making a run. I'm totally cool with teams making tough shots, and I'm totally cool with us getting good looks and missing shots. I totally understand that happens. But when you make plays like that, I think when it comes down to tournament games, and I watched, it is a conversation for a different time. You and I talked about this off camera. I watched Houston play. I've been trying to catch some of the Purdue games. I've been doing a little bit of a better job of watching other conferences. There's a lot of great teams in college basketball. And on any given night, plays like that and knowing time and score, I think are going to be incredibly valuable down the stretch in games that there is no tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like fouling 94 feet from the basket with the ball handler with his back to you and giving him 2 free points. The kid's already 8 for 9. In a game that you end up losing by 1, it's frustrating because Carmack Ryan obviously is like a 6th-year senior, and some of these choices that you're making on top of going 6 of 28 between him and Ingram, you're like, man, you just want them to be a little bit better in some of those categories.
You have to love how we've played defense all year. However,
oh yeah,
you have to adjust to how the game's being officiated. And tonight, if they're going to call that stuff, and they did, then you have to be able to adjust, and you can't just continue to send a team to the free throw line. I mean, I think that part of playing good defense is of course defending without fouling. And the definition of foul, as we just said, I think moves around too much from game to game. But it is what it is, and so you have to adjust. And yeah, I agree. I actually think Cormac kind of got hooked on that play, but again, you put them in a position
He
where
definitely got hooked. He definitely got hooked. But I mean, the calculated risk of being that close and like putting that amount of pressure when his back's to you, like I get it. If he's squaring you up, then there's space in between. It's not body to body, and the referee has a harder time calling it. And again, you only learn those intricacies when you're playing. And so he's had the games to understand they're going to see body contact. So whether they call the hook or they call the bump, it's just putting it in the ref's hands. Whereas if he was faced up, I totally understand getting pressure right there because we were having some success with that in the backcourt. But it's a 1 point, we end up losing by 1 point. All of these little plays add up and you lose. I mean, again, they throw in a bank three. There was a lot of, we give up like 4 offensive rebounds on one play where Cormac Ryan runs into Baycott in the back and gives it back to them. They end up with an easy layup. There's a lot of fluke plays. I want to say that good on Georgia Tech, like good. I'm not taking away from you guys, but as a Carolina review show, it's just these are some of the things that you discuss in a loss. And I knew we were going to have it. It's not like we were going to go undefeated, and probably, hopefully, we learn from it, like you said. But I don't think Hubert was too happy throughout the game either. Like I'll take 9-1 in conference play any day of the week, of course. But I think he was pretty. I think he pulled Baycott and like really laid into him on the sideline. So I do want to give Hubert Davis all the credit in the world for again continuing what he's been doing all year, which it looks like he's coaching every play.
Yeah, I think Jay Williams on the broadcast mentioned that Hubert was the only one bringing any energy, and I think that was a good call by him. Hubert didn't go into that game sleepwalking. I mean, he was absolutely like up and fired. It sort of reminded me of Hubert a little bit last year, where so many games it felt like he was the one just trying to drag the team across the finish line. That hasn't happened this year, thankfully. But yeah, I mean, I thought he was certainly doing everything he could to get people focused in. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the fouls 94 feet from the basket. I think the thing that it was really frustrating me was our execution on the break. I don't know how many 2-on-1s, 3-on-1s that we ended up not finishing. And we've got to finish stronger around the basket. I mean, it's one thing missing, Cormac missing threes and Ingram missing threes, but come on, like we've got to execute on those. And there's too often where the guy bringing it up doesn't move the ball. Like he doesn't hit ahead on the wing. And I mean, sort of like basic, middle school drills. I feel like fast break drills, move the ball and make that one defender adjust. And we're sort of ending up in these like one-on-ones, like difficult contested layups. We've got to do better on the break and be more efficient there.
Yeah, Trimble had a few right at the rim. And again, like if you see some of these guys, and I get it, they're different defenders, but in high school, he's putting his head in the rim. And there was several breaks, and then there was another one with Cormac Ryan misses a 2-on-1. But Trimble had I want to say 3 looks like right at the rim. He did finish 2 of them. So I think he was 2 of 5 on breakaways right at the rim. He had that amazing Euro, which was incredible. I think he had another one where it just rolled it right over the front. But there was a few, he missed a bunny in the Florida State game, breakaway. Nobody's around him. He missed another one, which was kind of contested with the left in the Florida State game. And then tonight, again, there was several right at the rim that we just don't finish. Cormac Ryan doesn't finish his either. 8, 9, 10-point swings there,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that those things hurt us tonight. The other thing that was different than I'd say most of the year was our pick and roll defense was terrible all night. I mean, we went under and gave up a lot of open looks. And I don't know how many times, they don't really have a dynamic big, but still they were rolling their bigs and getting a lot of good looks. And you got to give credit to Nathan George, who had, I think, an excellent game overall, as a freshman guard. There's a reason I think he may be leading the ACC in assists. You can see why. He's a very good pick and roll guard.
Yeah.
That said, it just felt like we didn't really take that away very well. I assume that we'll see a bunch more of that on Saturday. So hopefully we'll get our adjustments dialed in. But that really hurt us, I think.
Yeah,
All night.
I obviously couldn't read his lips or hear what he was saying, but there was several times where, Trimble is guarding his man in the corner, and they do kind of a high pick and roll, and they did a great job of doing it in the center of the floor, so you couldn't really establish help side, so everyone was kind of stuck to their man because they were one pass away. Trimble was completely doing what he was supposed to do while the action was happening, but once the roller rolls and they had doubled the ball screen, pocket pass to the roller, Trimble is the guy that was supposed to slide in. And I think it was 2 or 3 times. And I saw RJ telling him, like motioning to him after like an and one, like, hey, you have to slide in. If he kicks it to your man in the corner, we have to live with it, but you can't give up the layup, like slide in, which I appreciated. They were addressing it. Like it looked like it mattered and it meant something to get that corrected on the fly. So, I'm sure that they'll go over that in film. It's a great point by you. They killed us with it tonight. I felt like I think we did a better job in the second half. The first half, I felt like they just ran the same set over and over and over again. And if you can't stop it, I totally understand why you do it. But yeah, hopefully we learn from that, because I do think a lot of teams will attack us that way. And it's been 3 or 4 years with this. And Jay preached it all over the broadcast. Put Baycott in the pick and roll. Put Baycott in the pick and roll. And he's done a better job with it. But I do believe, crunch time, we can't switch Baycott off and just leave him on an island against a ball handler. Like, we just can't do it. We have to find different ways to do it. I'd love to ice all of the screens. Sometimes you don't recognize it in time and you can't do it. That is the best hope we have for stopping the pick and roll, is icing it and forcing the ball one way no matter what, and get them going downhill and try to get some help in rotation, in my opinion.
Yeah, in other games, it seems like we varied our approach to attacking that center of the court pick and roll. A couple of times we would trap it and stuff. Tonight, it just seemed like we were a little more predictable, didn't adjust as well. So yeah, I mean, we can
right.
We can pick it a lot, I'm sure. One positive, and I'm not sure why he didn't get more minutes, was Jalen Washington. I had his best game in a while.
Awesome.
8 points and 5 boards in 10 minutes. He maybe should have gotten some more minutes. Second game in a row where we didn't really get anything from Withers. I'm not sure what's going on there after he had a couple of big games.
Yeah.
But at least Washington seemed more aggressive, a little more confident tonight.
I felt like on the dunk that he had, because it came early, and then he had like another face-up mid-range jump shot, which he has a nice touch. He did go 2 for 4 from the free throw line, which he's a good free throw shooter. So that also hurt. Would love for us to be a better free throw shooting team. Those are just free points left on the board. But there's times, and I think anyone watching this, you don't even have to be a basketball player. You could be doing something. There's an effort moment where you just like, I don't care about repercussions. I'm just going to go for it, or I'm doing it. Or you get so frustrated, you step up to the plate and you just swing for the fences. You're not worried about striking out because the frustration is overtaking you. I felt like when he had that dunk, that play where, the ball was kind of loose, he gathered it, and like he just, like it overcame him. I felt like I was watching him have a moment where he just wasn't fearful anymore. There was no anxiety. I don't care if I miss. I'm just going to try to tear this down. And then, like, he just forgot about, I don't know, what would happen if he missed a shot and getting pulled. I felt like he just played freely tonight, and it was really cool to see. I was happy for him. I hope he gets more minutes. I think we're a better team when he's confident and playing well. Baycott gave up. I don't want to say Baycott. I don't want to blame Baycott. I love Baycott. I do hope he plays better, because he's had such an iconic career, and he did believe in Carolina when a lot of guys weren't. I'll never, forget that. But tonight we were getting beat pretty hard on the boards, and he did pull Baycott, I think, with like 15 minutes in the second half, and put Washington in when he made that little run. And Washington made an immediate difference. Like he was like, all right, well, I'm getting in here because they're doing work on the boards. I'm going to get after it. And so I'm glad you brought that up. I would have forgot to do it. And that's the fanboy in me of just being frustrated. Never want to lose, but totally understandable. And you and I said, hey, look, if we can go 3-1 on this next trip headed into the Duke game, that's a success. I thought it would come at the hands of SSU. A win's a win, a loss is a loss. We got it at Georgia Tech. It happened to us. Hopefully we learn and we head into the Duke game refocused.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if we win on Saturday, this will be quickly forgotten.
Yeah.
So, this gives Hubert a lot to talk about, refocuses the team. I think you've been saying now probably for 3 or 4 shows, would we benefit from a loss?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, hopefully we do.
Yeah, we're about to find out.
Yeah, we're about to find out. Yeah.
Did you get a chance to? I tried to watch the Duke Virginia Tech game because I was interested to see how both teams were going to head into Duke week. They're already running ads. I hated it because I knew both of us, both teams, both fan bases, are amped up for Saturday. But Duke had to play and we had to play. They handle their business. We don't. Both on the road. I would venture to say Virginia Tech's a harder venue to play at. It seems like the players have vocalized how I've never played in Blacksburg, but people have said that's an incredibly challenging venue to play at. Duke handles their business, and they handled it pretty steadily. I watched the game, and it never felt in doubt. We don't do so. How are you feeling heading into Carolina Duke? Because, now I won't sleep for the next few days. Like, it does matter to me. I was trying to explain, to other people what Carolina Duke means to me as a fan and someone that grew up in the rivalry. You went to Carolina, so you have firsthand knowledge of it as well. How are you feeling about the game? And game day's there. Like, it's college game day.
Yeah, it's I think Duke is really rounding into form. I mean, I know that they've had a few slip ups, but
I think they've won 10 out of their last 11.
Yeah. I get what was the loss? It was Pitt went in there, right? And beat them a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
And then that tough game with Clemson. So it's not like they're just blowing everybody out every game either. But they're clearly figuring it out. Some of their young players, is it McCain? In particular,
McCain
is playing very well. I think since Proctor's come back from the injury, he's playing significantly better than I think he was earlier in the season. So clearly, Shire's doing a good job with that team. They're incredibly talented. And so, it's one of those games where you hope that our experience, you hope that the home crowd, is nuts, carries the day. And so, I like our chances, but, like all these games, I'm expecting it to be incredibly close, back and forth. And, it's going to come down to a couple of possessions. I hope that, our defense shows up. This is a really talented offensive team. And so I think it's going to be an interesting test for, what we hope is really truly a top 5 defensive team. But if you are that, this is the type of game that you need to show it. But I think, we mentioned earlier, I think the Baycott Filipowski matchup is obviously huge. And then, I think we have to tag their shooters. And if we can, if they shoot, 30% or under from 3, I like our chances. But, I mean, what Tech shot, 45% tonight. Yeah, if Duke shoots 45%, we're not going to win the game.
Yeah, it's going to be challenging as it sits right now. So we fall to 9-1. Duke is now 7-2. We got to play them twice. So losing this game tonight has much more significance than a lot of people would think. We don't take care of business Saturday, and then all of that hard work is not for naught, but we lose the lead, and we're down in the tiebreaker because we would have lost a head-to-head matchup, and we got to go to Duke. So it could get ugly real quick. And this was what I was concerned about going into the Georgia Tech game. I understood that people were labeling it as a trap game. And honestly, I don't know if you heard it. Jay Williams took a shot at me on on the broadcast. He was like, people texting me that they were distracted. And look, for anyone seeing this, I love Jay Will. He's one of my best friends on the planet. And he and I were going back and forth during the game. And I said, I don't know. there's a few of our players, and they're impact players, that have never been a part of the Duke Carolina rivalry. They're already running, College Game Day and advertise. Everybody's talking about Duke Carolina. Kenny Williams said, "Hey, look, it's challenging. You have to do it, but it is challenging during Duke week to play the game before." So I thought, hey, look, they're still kids at the end of the day. So maybe they're distracted. And then he gets on the broadcast and he's like, "Oh, people texting me that they're distracted. That's a terrible excuse." Well, it is a terrible excuse. But I was just saying that's potentially what it could be. I don't know. But I had a nice little chuckle when he did that.
Yeah. Yeah, I have no idea. Like I've never been in a position to compete in a sporting event at the magnitude of a Duke Carolina game. And
Well,
so
not
it's
a lot of people have.
no, I it's like the psychology of it, to sort of sit here and say, how does somebody feel, the week going into that game? That's why, I love getting guests like Kenny on,
Yeah.
because he's lived it and he can speak
Yeah.
to it. And he said it was hard, so I believe him, but
Yeah.
but yeah, I wish I could have experienced something like that. It seems like it would be awesome to come out of that tunnel, before the Duke Carolina game. I mean, it just must be an incredible high, and to have the crowd going nuts when you're on a run and you hit a couple threes back to back in a game like that. I mean, I just can't imagine how awesome it would be. So hopefully we all get to live it and experience it again on Saturday as fans, because man, it is awesome when we beat those guys.
It is awesome. And I am looking forward to it. All right. So I'm going to put you on the hot seat because I can't remember. Maybe it was our very first show. We were supposed to recap the Kentucky game, and one of us was not able to, for lack of not availability, but frustration was what showed up on the scorecard for a DNP the same day as the game. Now, are you committing yourself to doing a recap show no matter the outcome right now? I'll put you on the hot seat.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
All right.
To be fair, the Kentucky podcast is our first one.
It was.
So I was like, well, that can't be our first one. Like, I'm going to go on there just ranting like a lunatic. I mean, at least now, like we've got a few under our belts. And so, now if I rant like a lunatic, it's not going to be quite as embarrassing.
It's not at all. All right. Yeah. Go Heels. I got asked to play in a league game tonight. So I'm actually headed to a league game. I haven't played in a league game since pre-COVID. And so I'm not looking forward to it. This will be, I think, the first time in my entire life where I walk in the gym and I tell them, "Hey, you guys start. Just call on me if you need a break." Like, I don't have it in me. It's not there anymore. I'd rather be playing golf. But yeah, I'm still a fan and I'm still frustrated, but I love our team. This is one of my favorite teams that we've had in a very long time. I couldn't be more proud of RJ Davis. I thought, so if RJ gets that call or RJ throws in a game winner, I thought that the ACC Player of the Year was going to be locked, like no matter what moving forward. I thought he would have won that award tonight. I think it's still up in the, I think he's still the front runner. But I would have gambled all of my money that it was over. He was ACC Player of the Year. So I hate that for him. I hate that for us. Saturday's a big day. I won't text you during the game, but I'll hit you before.
All right, sounds good. Have a good week. Go Heels.
All right, go Heels.